What is going on, everybody? We're back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, December 14th. It's a Throwback Thursday. You know what that means. I'm stoked to be here as usual with the usual suspects. We'll be breaking down Dynamite. We have a wicked throwback topic on tap for you guys today. I'm excited to get into it, but first and foremost, let me introduce my co-hosts and panel. First, all the way from Philly, our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. Dude, I'm on fire with getting the name right, I think.
You are on fire. Congratulations on that. It's great. I'm looking forward to doing the show. We got a great throwback topic. Not directly related to the throwback, but a bit of a throwback. Makes me feel old as dirt. Today is actually the 36th anniversary of the original Ninja Turtles cartoon coming out. I drove my father so nuts collecting those figures.
Well, who doesn't like pizza?
Yeah. So
absolutely. Let's get into it. We're going to talk Dynamite and our throwback topic. Like you said, it makes me feel old too, but either way, I am stoked because it's an awesome topic. With that, though, let's talk to the Tuesday Night Delight all the way from the DMV. My good friend Shad, how are you feeling on this fine Thursday afternoon, my friend?
We got twos up. The twos up for Tuesday. I'm good, guys, man. I'm definitely excited to talk about AEW Dynamite as well as this throwback topic. When Anthony put it on the big board for us early in the week, I was pretty excited, and I went ahead and rewatched the match today too, so I won't go further into that.
I'm fired up. I mean, I will say this. It's a sweet ladder match. It is. I mean, come on. Or I guess it's a ladder war to be more specific. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, we saw him fight without honor. We saw him fight with honor occasionally. We saw him fight with honor together. We saw them fight against each other. I can't wait to break that one down. This is one of the most fun topics we've done in a while on Throwback Thursday, and they're mostly all fun too. So that's a big compliment when it comes to today's topic. But speaking of topics, let's get into our first segment of the afternoon. Let's talk about the opening promo of the night. Let's talk about the Hangman versus Roddy Strong match, though, out of the gates. Actually, sorry, by the way, I said opening promo. I just completely read off of the show sheet there. That's on me, guys. Let me rephrase that. Let's talk about Hangman versus Roddy Strong, 1-on-1, and the devil attack that we saw happen during this match. One thing I will say, I loved the finish and the results of the match, which was Hangman Page going over via Deadeye. Talk about something that targets the neck. Some kind of reverse tombstone pile driver.
You're on fire today.
It's all over the neck. That one's going to hurt the neck. That's my point. Either way, Hangman Page goes over and the devil targets Hangman Page suddenly, which I do think muddies the waters as far as who could be behind that devil mask. Anthony talked to me about this opening match and post-match attack.
I mean, you got my name right. You can't get anything else out right. So, okay.
There are half stutters.
Hey, we're only 4 minutes in, so let's see what happens. It was a strong opening, nice little promo. I liked that they brought up the fact that Hangman was essentially like a young boy for Roderick during the ROH days. Roddy was already a made star when Hangman came in. So I thought that was smart. Roddy is one of those incredible talents that may never get the recognition that he deserves. He is a phenomenal talent. I thought this was a great match and a great opening. The Devil Attack post show, because they keep throwing in this is Hangman the Devil. I don't believe he is. It to me, if it is him, it would make zero sense. He feuded with Swerve as a babyface, and meanwhile on the back end he's playing a heel. It would make no sense in my opinion. I think that would be a mistake. But the beatdown afterwards, I had a laugh. I sent this to Shad after it happened. They had the devils all in these hoodies with the devil mask on the back of the hoodie. It reminded me of the '89 Batman movie, The Joker's squad. They all had the Joker face on the back of the jackets.
That's a great call.
It was so telegraphed. I've said that on this show. I think it's Jack Perry. Putting Hangman through the windshield with the whole. Really. Are you telegraphing this any more than this is probably Jack Perry? Unless they do it, it could be anybody. They could change it, but I honestly think it's Jack Perry from the laugh a few weeks ago to last night with the windshield. Visually, it is very cool, having the beatdown. But the thing I joked with Shad was, I'm like, if they turn around and sell the devil hoodies before the reveal, it seems a little far fetched, because wouldn't somebody need to know who to make the royalty check out to? You can't exactly write the check out to Joker. So, but I thought it was interesting. It was a good ending, because at least there's an intrigue, there's an interest to watch again next week, because you want to see where the next phase of the story goes. We all know they're not probably doing a reveal until World's End, realistically. I think World's End is when we're going to find out who's behind the mask.
Absolutely. And I love the call on Jack Perry. It makes sense. You going with Jack Perry as your pick? Because I think the three of us should all make our pick today. I think
Jack
Perry. That makes sense. Let's make our definitive choice.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we do cover Dynamite every Thursday. So Jack Perry, Anthony is going with. Shad is still trying to scare me. Halloween's been over for over a month.
I'm my bad. I was clicking on a tab.
Lights on, lights off. I'm worried Kane's about to come out. No, but
my bad.
So we got the opening. We got the opening match. Hangman goes over. We have the devil attack. We have Anthony picks Jack Perry. I'll make my pick after you, Shad. Who do you believe is behind that mask and in charge of this group? But more importantly, what did you think of the opening match of the night on last night's Dynamite?
So I thought the start of the show last night was very strong. I thought they started with the cream of the crop that is happening storyline wise in AEW, and obviously it circles around MJF and his world championship, and all the hidden opponents that he's gonna cross paths with, and Hangman Adam Page is one of them. We had obviously the initial promo with Strong, and Roger Strong is criminally underrated in the sense, of my opinion. I feel like he's kind of meshing everything very well together. I think him alluding to the standpoint that played a very pivotal part at the end, where he is trying to frame and saying that it is, he thinks it's MJF because everybody that kind of crosses MJF gets attacked. This stayed true to the end of the night, where somebody who's trying to cross MJF with Adam Hangman Page got beat up as well. So will that, lead and make it seem like it could be more to Roderick Strong being correct? We'll have to wait and see. I doubt it, but it does add an extra element to the storyline. The match itself, phenomenal, man. I mean, these two guys put on a clinic, and it was good to see Roderick Strong compete in a singles match, because he's really one of the top in-ring talents that we have in the sport and then on their roster. So I thought they had a sound bout with each other. And yeah, man, I really did like the ending of it. I thought that it, especially, and I'll talk about that later, but coming off of something that gave me a bitter taste, they shaked it off and they put this onto it. It has you thinking. Who I think it is, man, I told y'all a couple weeks ago, I think now it could be a very good opportunity to do something cool. And I think it could be a good opportunity to create a brand new faction, a rebellious faction, something that may be causing a little bit of retribution. Uh 90
Mhm.
days are almost up. Why not poach some of them free agents that are coming up? Why not maybe have a Mustafa Ali be the lead of it and right or wrong of something that he led prior to it? Do I think that's what it's gonna be? No. Uh I think the likelihood of it after last night is probably Jack Perry. I think that point that Anthony made with the windshield kind of streamlined it a lot more clear. And I think, and I know it's not as relatively, as correlated, but I think people do petty stuff for petty reasons. I think a petty reason would be bringing Jack Perry back, especially with everything that's going on with CM Punk over there, bringing him back and kind of letting him get his due diligence from that whole chaos of what happened over there. So I do think
Right.
it's Jack Perry. And I will say this, man, and this is going to be kind of, this is my last point. I think CM Punk signing with WWE will benefit Jack Perry being the devil more. And I think it adds more of a
Ooh.
flair to him being the devil. If it would have been Jack Perry after all of that and CM Punk was just not in professional wrestling, I think people would not be as interested. I think it wouldn't be as much of a headline. With Punk going to WWE and knowing what happened with them, bringing Jack Perry back, I feel like it adds a little bit more season to it. So I think it is Mr. Jack Perry. And yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
So we have 2 Jack Perrys, and it leads to my pick. I'll be quick with this one. I'm going to say this. I'll give you a few names that I wish could work, but no, could not. So nobody take this out of context, but Don Callis would be great. Don Callis would be excellent in that role. Stokely Hathaway would be great. In the same spot, neither will work. One that could work, but is not my pick either. Kenny Omega. Okay, now we're talking. A little out of left field, similar build. I don't mind it. I don't think it's any of those 3. Because I truly believe that it's Wardlow. I want it to be Wardlow. And people can go back and complain about the size of the person under the mask not being the same as Wardlow. Or probably the fact that whoever's been under the mask isn't actually Wardlow. I would love for that to become full circle because Wardlow is the biggest threat as a heel to Max, considering he's the last person to beat the dude clean in a singles match. That to me is brilliant, and Wardlow deserves it. And the hint that I got, because I loved the points both of you guys made about the laugh, Jack Perry, I completely understand and will not be stunned if both of you guys are correct on this one, right? But we did have a few weeks ago Wardlow come out for a squash match with messed up hair, as if maybe it had been under a mask. And that to me would just be so exciting for Wardlow. I think the reveal itself may be a little disappointing, but the results could very well be worth it. And it's worth the risk in my eyes, given you still have around the scene, as far as the story is concerned, Adam Cole, Jack Perry as well, upon his return, multiple people that can be around this storyline and around Maxwell Jacob Friedman, given his history. But if anybody has direct history in a way that needs some calculated targeting in the style that the devil has done in regards to Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Wardlow fits the bill as well as anybody in my eyes. But with that, let's do, unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry, we got to move on to our next topics because we went a little long on the opening segment, but there's no worries in the least on that.
I do have to say, I think Wardlow is one of them, but I think the group is going to be made up of the sins of Max's past. That's who I think the members are going to be.
There you go. I dig that. We got a few comments really quick before we move on. We got Bobby Petito with, I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Man, Bobby, you as well. Always. Thank you so much for tuning in. And then Matt Williams, our good buddy, you're back. His ex thinks he's the devil. That's hysterical. Got him, Matt Williams. And then that's a great point. I appreciate you saying that as well. And then I believe the Devil's Flago Del Sol, Matt Williams, you're a funny kid. That is good stuff. I love that. Let's talk though about Brody King. Shout out Southern California and shout out Carter Santino Bros up in LA. It's where he trained against Andrade El Idolo. Fun match. Andrade got the win with that double arm DDT he has, or variation of it. It's a beautiful move. It's a beautiful finishing move. Andrade can work. King has had a heck of a run in this tournament. What did you think about the results of this one though, Anthony?
Okay, I will make this quick. I have criticized the tournament as not feeling important. But the one thing is there are matches like this that really delivered. This was one of the few matches in the tournament that weren't predictable on who was going to win. Realistically, neither one of them is going to overall win this thing because it's pretty much telegraphed who they want in this thing. But, Andrade, the way he won, I loved it. He taking the thing off the turnbuckle and pulling King down. He hit his head against the turnbuckle, then the DDT. They did this really well. It was competitive. It was a great showcase for both guys. It is another example that these are two guys that should get a push. They should be higher than where they are, but I don't know if AEW is going to do it. Whether or not they capitalize on it, that's the $1 million question. Brody's gotten close a few times, never really got the position he was in. Andrade, they've teased it a few times. They've never really gotten fully behind these guys, but this match absolutely delivered. And I think it was the first time they've ever been in the ring together, one-on-one, as far as I know.
I believe one-on-one it is, and I thought it was an outstanding match myself. I agree with you. Like Brody King, man, talk about somebody who's really, really elevated themselves. And we've had the big man conversation in AEW 1,000 times, but like, there's no denying Brody King. He's really, 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 really good bell to bell when it comes to that. Now, Shad, we got to talk about a match that we just did discuss on this very show yesterday. Rio and Ruby Soho. My call was incorrect. I'll be the first to admit it. I thought it could be the start for Soho. We had Mariah May on commentary as well as Tony Storm. We had Rio getting the win with the double knees. It was
Who got
good.
my shovel? Who got my shovel?
No, I just was only wrong on the prediction. It was still entertaining. And I thought it was a good job of showcasing Tony Storm and Mariah May. Was I wrong on my prediction? Yes. Was I wrong on the idea that this would be an entertaining match and segment? I think no. But I do want to get your thoughts on the match itself, Shad. And especially, are we getting Riho immediately against Tony Storm next? Or is this going to be something that we hold off on till Revolution for some reason?
So, all right, a couple things. One, I think this is probably positioning for them to have a match. What would be, because Wrestle Dream is the end of the month, right?
You mean World's End?
World's End. I'm sorry, not Wrestle Dream. Sorry, World's End. Yeah, World's End at the end of the month, right? So I could see them maybe doing that, but it may be on a random Dynamite leading up to it, maybe that week. Maybe give it the main event time. Who knows? Match was very a good match. Like, both women are good in-ring wrestlers. I think Riho is somebody that I'm a fan of. I got to see her win the inaugural title live in DC, so there's a special place in my heart for Riho, and I think she's great. The issue is this: Ruby Soho, man. This is somebody, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. The importance of what she was as a signing on that debut where we had Danielson and Cole. she was the joker for that. I really thought that we would see a lot more from her. I thought she was a great signing for him. I thought she's one of those people that was kind of undervalued in WWE, couldn't find her footing in the door. And I thought she's got the opportunity to get her footing in the door in AEW. She's got a very distinct look. She's got a lot of charisma, and she's a good in-ring wrestler. And it just hasn't really come to fruition for her yet. And I don't like seeing her be the person that's eating L's match by match leading into this title. I want her to get her opportunity at some point. I know it's not her time just yet, but it's kind of underwhelming and it makes me a little frustrated to see. But match was great. Tony Storm is incredible. Her on commentary, her as a character, we can't stress how great she is at this. Like her acknowledging that is that really Ruby Soho because she doesn't have her green hair. It's money.
Oh,
I think her and Mariah May are gonna really take this to the next level. But my only problem is she's so much of a character, and it's the women's title where the women's title kind of feels obsolete because it's just more focused on her antics. And that's why I want to see
ooh.
them kind of try to find the balance for. And the balance will come when she gets a viable competitor that will make it a threat for a title, i.e., Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander. Like we got to position and lead up to that at some point. Placehold matches, we know that she's not going to lose the Riho, so it doesn't put a lot of investment besides seeing her do her, you know, pose and talking and whatnot. But all in
Ooh.
all, it was a solid match. I'm not going to bury it. I like the match, and I'm excited to see what we progress from there.
I disagree on Tony Storm. I actually think she this time has elevated the AEW World Women's Championship in the sense that she's timeless. So if you're gonna tie
I'm,
that
it,
tag to the belt,
it's we can have this topic. We can have this discussion another time. I don't want to like
yeah.
take
Yeah.
time for it, but
But
that's not what I'm saying. I don't.
no
I'm
no.
the character very much, and I'm going to make this real quick. The character very much to me reminds me of the original Goldust run when he was like Intercontinental Champion, the over the top character. That's what it reminds me of.
mm-hmm.
See, to me it reminds me almost of like such a throwback. It's Gorgeous George esque.
Well, they all have lineage to George.
That's
I mean,
true.
he's the
That's true.
originator of it.
It's
Yeah.
true. No doubt. I mean, to me the gimmick is so good. She earned the title.
I love the gimmick. I'm just saying that there has to be something with. There's got to be. You have to put the gimmick into a storyline now. We can't just let her flex the gimmick.
You have a character, you need a story to go with it.
You know what I actually wish she would do is talk about how much the title like either means or kind of doesn't mean, like sarcastically within the character, like the title that defines me, the timeless.
It very much needs to be like Gollum with the ring, my precious type deal, or somebody or an actress holding an Oscar. It's her,
Yeah, like have a in-ring segment with the competitor and all of that. But like I said, we can
we can go all
absolutely. Okay, so up next we had Jay White and Mark Briscoe in the Continental Classic. Huge match here because Jay White is still in contention to advance in the toughest league of the two so far, as far as like competition is concerned. Especially because of some of the early runs that we saw. The Blue League feels a little bit more wide open. The Gold League feels a little bit more, we're down to about 3 now. And Jay White got the win over Mark Briscoe in what was a quality wrestling match, but Jay White, deservedly so, did get the win. He's still in contention, especially given what we're going to discuss next. Try not to give away the results of the next match unless you're using it for context, Anthony. But either way, let's talk about Jay White and Mark Briscoe. What were your thoughts on the match?
Okay, I'm just going to be real quick as far as the next match because I know I'm not getting into it. The wrong person won. As far as Jay White and Mark Briscoe, Jay's in this position where he's trying to essentially recover from losing to a one-legged man for the world title. I don't think he's winning this tournament. And it's a shame that Mark Briscoe is put in this position like all the other Ring of Honor talent where you're just jobbing out. And I like Mark a lot, and it was an incredible match. But you knew before that bell even rang, they're not giving this to Mark. They're giving it to Jay. Jay, it's not going to matter because they're pushing Moxley. It doesn't matter. They're pushing Swerve, even though they made a mistake with the next match. But that's my take. The Jay's not going anywhere. It was sad that Mark lost. They can't give him a single win. Like realistically, none of the Ring of Honor people can get a win. Not Jay Lethal, not Mark Briscoe. Nobody can get a win. Only the AEW talent. This is why people have a problem with the Tony Khan Ring of Honor, because they're just the stepchildren that no one cares about.
I hear where you're coming from. And honestly, let's leave that match at that.
Yes.
Because it finished as it made sense storyline wise. It didn't make sense if you're looking at it for Mark Briscoe and all that. It was competitive in the ring. It was non-competitive on paper, and that
on the board
was unfair.
When you look at the board,
yeah,
it's not competitive.
Now let's talk about the next one though, which is really, really important here. And we're talking about Swerve Strickland and Jon Moxley. And this is basically heel versus heel, right? When we're discussing this match, Continental Classic, 2 tied atop the boards in their section, the Gold League of the Continental Classic. And you have Swerve looking really, really great with a lot of momentum. And Jon Moxley is the one that uses the heel maneuver, in the words of the great VKM there. not great, but in the words of VKM, what a maneuver. He got him with the roll up and grabbed the tights. Full blown, what a maneuver on him, and rolls up Swerve, halting some of that momentum. I didn't necessarily understand that result. I don't mind it because it is Moxley, but I don't know how to make perfect sense of it unless it's to make sure that Swerve Strickland has a shot at that AEW World Championship post-tournament, and they're just making sure that he's out of it for some reason, and we end up with Moxley and Jay White on that side of the bracket, and Swerve gets robbed, uses that to rally to chase Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who, speaking of, when we're talking about this segment, let's absolutely discuss what happened immediately following the match. Hangman Page in the parking lot, fighting off the entire crew of devil characters, right? Huge. That's what we saw immediately following all of it. I don't exactly know who it is. I know I said Wardlow earlier, but I'm still not sure it's not Kenny O. I'm not sure it's not Kenny O if they're targeting Hangman as well. I'm not sure it's not the Cleaner. I'm not sure. You never know. Shad, what were your thoughts on the match? What were your thoughts on the finish of the show? And what were your thoughts on the follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the finish of the show we mentioned in the first, like I thought it was wonderful, and I'm definitely excited to see for it. What made me not even watch the finish of the show and had to catch it on Twitter on the playback is the finish of this match. I mean, I don't understand. Like you have the Continental Classic, and you have the opportunity where it's all point system based. Both of you guys are undefeated. Why not just put them in a draw? Why have the hot commodity, the guy who is on a super run right now, take a loss, like a clear loss to Jon Moxley? I think Jon Moxley is, and I've said it before, arguably the GOAT of AEW. I think he's the person that's done the most groundwork as a person with merit to the name from a different promotion historically and whatnot, and kind of put a lot of groundwork as a champ and whatnot. But it's a turn of a new leaf. You need to create new megastars on your roster. That's something that AEW can benefit from. I mean, we're used to the same superstars that we have with the Elite, Kenny Omega, Moxley, Jericho, MJF. Swerve is on precedent to be to that next level. I don't understand why you give him this loss, especially when you could have had a tie, and I believe they could have run it back. I don't think Swerve is completely out just yet. I don't know what the exact point total you need for it to win from it, but I didn't like it. I feel like if anything, Swerve could have benefited to just win and just keep winning and winning and get to the finals and potentially win it all. Like Swerve being that dominant, beating everybody and becoming the inaugural champ, you instantly create a guy who's on top of the world for your promotion. And I just think it's dumb to have him lose clean to that. Moxley doesn't need to be the inaugural champ. Moxley doesn't need to rally up a lot of wins. This tournament is positioned to shuffle so many matchups where a young star like Swerve, a young star like Roosh, and Andrade, like a Brody King, like they're pulling wins versus people that we don't see them wrestle so often, and they're gonna get to wrestle people that they don't get to fight that often because they might not be in the same, I don't know, storyline or class to have these type of matches. And you giving them a win, they don't have to win it all, but even giving them wins or making them look strong with it, you build them and you can create them to get to that next level. So all in all, I thought the match was great, but I just did not like the ending for it at all.
I hear you on the ending. I thought the post show was impressive, and I did pick Wardlow earlier, but I think I am switching. I think it's Kenny.
Yeah, no, the post show was great. I'm not. You're my bad. You throwing me off by bringing that back up because I thought
think
we
it's
talked
Kenny.
about it.
We did, but I'm changing.
He won't let it go.
I think it's Kenny. I
That's
totally
cool,
think
man.
it's Kenny now.
Okay. All right.
With that, it's throwback time. It's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all get excited. Let's go. Actually, first and foremost, I do have to give away my Tony of the Week to Tony Storm. Sorry, Anthony.
You
once
didn't
again.
do it last week. I'm sure I was
No, I
screwed out of
skipped
that
last
one,
week.
too.
Actually, last week Shivani got the win. I just didn't want to announce it on air. It was Shivani that got the win last week. Tony Storm this week.
It's almost like this thing's rigged, like the tournament.
Okay, let's talk Kevin Steen and El Generico, aka Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in Ring of Honor, though, in the Ladder War.
Mm-hmm.
This was a 30-minute match that felt like it was 3 minutes long because it just flies by every single time you watch it. It's one of those things that is so exciting. It is a part of one of the greatest rivalries in the history of professional wrestling. Across multiple companies. I loved this match. Anthony, break the whole thing down for us. Give us some history. You are our resident historian. Talk to us about El Generico and Kevin Steen, the professor
of
yes.
Wrestling Republic at this point. Realistically, there are certain rivalries in wrestling that are really special. And a huge reason to that is that the people involved are a lot of ways best friends, almost like brothers. To me, the three rivalries that I could think of off the top of my head that I can watch them wrestle all the time, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, and Kevin Steen and El Generico or Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, whatever you want to call them. They bring out the best in one another. When you think about like a best friend, they know everything about you. They can bring out the best in you. They can bring out the worst. They can hurt you the most. So this rivalry is one of the few, other than maybe Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly that I can think off the top of my head, that spanned not just Ring of Honor, but Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, the Indies, NXT, WWE. They've gone multiple places and done multiple things. Last man standing. I loved prior to this the Fight Without Honor. To me, I love that name for an unsanctioned match. I love that. But the story behind this was the turn at Final Battle 2009. Generico and Kevin Steen lost to the Young Bucks. After the match, Kevin Steen turned on El Generico, his best friend. This feud would go on. It would lead to Final Battle 2010, which it was the Fight Without Honor, which was a phenomenal match. If you haven't seen it, it is on YouTube. Ring of Honor has it in its entirety. El Generico wins. Kevin Steen is banned from Ring of Honor. The interesting behind the scenes stuff is Jim Cornette was booking Ring of Honor time. Going on record. Doesn't like El Generico. Doesn't like Kevin Steen. doesn't like Steve Corino, doesn't like any of these people that are involved in this, which is the very interesting part. Kerry Silkin, who still owned Ring of Honor at the time, brought Kevin Steen back. This would lead eventually to Final Battle 2012, which is the Ladder War. Was El Generico's last match in the company. He signed a contract to go to NXT. He was leaving. He only agreed to come back to wrestle one person, and that was Kevin Steen. He was the only person he would agree to come back to wrestle one more match for. They put on an unbelievable performance. This is also on YouTube. Ring of Honor still has it up in its entirety. I watched it earlier today to refresh myself. There's a moment in there, just the pure brutality of the match. We've never seen this version of Kevin Owens in WWE. This viciousness, the brutality. I would love to see this version of Kevin Owens as a heel in WWE. At one point, he's beating El Generico down so bad, he yells into the camera, "I am not going to stop until he's more broken than the ladder." I mean, the match ultimately ends in this insane spot where there's two ladders and another ladder, almost like a bridge, and Kevin Steen and El Generico are standing on that bridge, and Kevin Steen delivers a pile driver onto that ladder to ultimately take El Generico out, and Kevin Steen goes back up the ladder to retrieve his world title. Because on top of all this was for the Ring of Honor World Championship. But it's an absolutely brutal ladder match. There's a reason why it's called Ladder War. I don't remember which number of Ladder War this one was, but it is a phenomenal match. And like I said, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn bring out the absolute best out of one another, whether they're tagging with one another or they're fighting forever. It is pure entertainment, and they paint a masterpiece in that ring every time.
It is such a crazy thing to think about because it's such an iconic rivalry. And like, if you follow Ring of Honor like we all have, it's so legendary. The fact that we didn't see El Generico unmasked essentially until he was Sami Zayn in NXT is almost mind-numbing at this point based on the trajectory of both of their careers. It's something you would never even consider. Like, wait, what? Excuse me?
It literally is the generic luchador. It's essentially
crazy.
The name. Yeah, and he's Canadian.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
The entire rivalry is a classic. The matches we're talking about, this match specifically, the Ladder War, is iconic. Shad, what were your thoughts and memories from this one? I know you went back and watched it again too this week, you were telling me, but yeah, just break it down for me. What did you think?
Oh, it's fresh in my head. I watched it back probably like a couple hours ago. Nah, man, this match was just utter chaos and just a very physical, brutal match with all the crazy spots to it. And it's, man, as great as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are in WWE, to see those two guys younger in their prime during their time in ROH, man, like El Generico is arguably like one of the most fun wrestlers that you'll get to watch in ring wise. He does some of the craziest moves and spots that you can imagine. And yeah, to Anthony's point, Steen was just so much more rugged and physical and just not caring about stuff. And I think the beauty of it, to what your guys' point was, I love to see these two paired together, and it just has traveled from ROH to when they were on NXT to even now on the main roster to Mania last year. Like, these guys have been the perfect like wrestling couple, like maybe of all time, to be real with you, at least within recency. I mean, we talk about so many great like wrestling like rivals and friends. Like, they definitely got to be listed. Maybe not the top one, but at least in the top five, right? Like, they got to be considered in it because they've made so many great moments, so many great matches, so many great storylines. A story of friendship, then betrayal, and we've seen it happen on both sides. I mean, everyone like I love the fact that we can talk about this match and that build to it from an ROH to even see it kind of happen last year with the whole Bloodline and Kevin Owens feud as well. Like the fact that these two guys can streamline it and just be completely different characters from when they were almost over a decade ago is amazing. And yeah, man, we gotta appreciate these guys while we can still see them wrestle at the top of how they're doing it at this point, man. Because we all getting older, they're getting older, and man, they've created a lot of great moments for within this modern wrestling era, especially during ROH. Because I'll say this, man, I used to I love I'm cool with the big dogs in WWE. I love WWE, but we always talk about like alternatives, different stuff. Like when I discovered Ring of Honor and I caught whim of these guys during that time frame, like after I think I was in college around the time, like I thought they were so fun and captivating and yeah, man, it just takes you back. It makes me feel old too. That
A
this is a
hundred.
throwback topic because it doesn't even feel like I watched it like yesterday, like for the
I
first time.
know. Well, and not only that, like 100%. The weirdest one to me is like, think about this. Like, if you'd have told us though when this actually occurred back in the day, like, hey, check out this ladder match, even if you didn't see it at the time, right? If you just told us in that time frame, like, hey, check out this ladder match. These two are going to be tagging against an Anna Y family tag team called the Usos,
Boys.
right? Main eventing, not WrestleMania night one. The first question would be like, wait, there's two nights?
There's more than one
and
night.
then the second question would be like, and they're gonna be buddies again? And then I mean, the how far we've come since in not that long of a time, to your point, right? This isn't our deepest throwback topic. We're not going way back to our childhoods to the 90s. This is like right at this point.
2012.
I mean, yeah, we're adults. I was 21.
Yeah.
I was cranking beers with my buddies at that point. Watching this match, unlike what I would have been watching right in the early 2000s and stuff growing up. And yeah, just to see how far both of the talents have come and what I mean, Sami Zayn's one of the most impressive things. And Anthony, you brought up that he went to NXT first before Kevin Steen.
He got signed.
And that is an easy thing to forget. It's one of those ones that like Sami Zayn's NXT run was world beating, and all that happened was the mask was taken off.
Well, I mean,
signing him is a no-brainer. Also,
it was about a year difference because you figure this was the end of 2012. Sammy went in 2013. Kevin Owens went there in 2014. So it was about a year difference.
Yeah,
before he went over.
It's one of those things that in hindsight is just hard to wrap your brain around. And even you had Sammy. Who was Sammy's NXT? Didn't he have a mentor at one point, right? Because of how early he was. He actually did for a second, I think, before they finally scrapped that and made NXT what it is.
Yeah, he did wrestle with the mask, but he didn't go with the El Generico name.
Right.
And then they got rid of it. And at the start of the network, it picked up with him feuding with Cesaro.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great feud.
That is right.
I just remember the visual of him diving through the ropes to get to the other side with the DDT.
To hit that DDT, that's one of the best. Yeah. Honestly, that's like one of the funnest moves to put on your creative character in the video game.
Yes.
Look, if you watch, y'all need to watch El Generico highlight.
Olay. I think one of the greatest things, and I real quick, they said like on a PWG like commentary, this was after he had left, someone had mentioned El Generico, and Excalibur said, he is still working at the orphanage with the children in Tijuana.
Yes. It's the quote is all time. What a character. It's so funny. And to become Sami Zayn, I still want to know what was going on with the conspiracy.
I want to see the documentary,
Same.
and I always felt what they should have done when Kevin Owens and when there was all the conspiracy stuff where Kevin Owens was convinced everyone's out to get him. I would have had El Generico appear on one show and Sami Zayn appear on another, and Kevin going, "I know it was you. It wasn't me. It was the mask guy. He was a luchador." I think I would have played that up because he owns the rights to El Generico.
Absolutely. Okay. By the way, with that does actually bring us to the end of the show. Oh, Shad's got his El Generico. Sami Zayn painting. Yes.
I was wondering where he was going.
I'm sorry, Ben.
Yes. No.
This guy is one of my favorite wrestlers, man.
Yes,
like
the man.
this
painting
moment,
is amazing.
him getting that moment in Saudi was one of the dopest moments. If you need the artwork, my beautiful fiance, paint but not least on Etsy. She made this for me last Christmas. Hopefully she makes me another piece this Christmas.
and it's a legendary piece. You've told me about that one off air too. That's such a cool one and such a cool moment with both the belts, and it's a beautiful piece of art too. Like, absolutely, please do get that link and click buy as many times as you can. All of that. With that, though, that does bring us to the end of the show. As usual, Throwback Thursday was a blast. On behalf of me, Shad, Anthony, and Wrestling Republic, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. We will see everybody tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. That's 8 in the UK, and that's 9 a.m. Hawaiian. Thank you for tuning in as always, and have an awesome Thursday evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Have a good Thursday, and we'll talk to everybody soon.